Our next talk is by Nithish Raghunandanan. He's an engineer who loves to build products that solve real-world problems in a short span of time. Don't we all? So I'm going to just welcome him onto stage. Oh, hey Nithish, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
I
How are
think
you?
uh, we hear some static noise from your end. Do you know, is it something that you can solve?
Oh, let me just check.
Sure.
Okay, is it better now?
No, I think we can still hear it.
Okay, let
uh,
me just.
it's this weird ringing kind of noise that's there. Can anyone else confirm? Oh, I think now it's fine. It's fine now, right? Awesome, perfect. Oh, but we can't hear you now. Too. I think you muted yourself. Hey, I think you're on mute, so we can't hear you.
Now it's
Yes.
better.
Yeah,
Okay,
now it's awesome. Perfect.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Uh, I
no
guess we
worries.
have 3 minutes left, so I guess we can try to make some conversations. Uh,
Yeah.
like, have you checked out any of the talks that happened during the course of 24 hours of Pyjamas?
Yes, yeah, I checked out a few talks, especially like the ones yesterday. Yeah, and some of them were
Which,
really cool.
yeah, which ones do you think were like the best for you? Like, which ones did you enjoy the
Uh,
most?
the one from Mark was really good. Like, yeah, the mistakes in Python. Yeah,
Yeah, he
so
always gives
that,
amazing talks.
yeah, yeah, that was good. Yeah. What about you? Which talks do you like?
Oh yeah, I like that talk too. It was really, really amazing. I was really
Yeah,
looking forward to it too. His talks
mm,
are always awesome. And
yeah.
also after that, the panel session was really cool too, where they talked about
Hmm.
what DevRels do and stuff. That was really awesome, as well.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. Oh, I think we just spent 1 minute, so we have 2 minutes more. Uh,
Yeah.
cool. I think I'm just going to read out cat names.
Cat
That
names.
could make sense. All right. So, what would you name your cat if you had a cat? What would you name it?
I used to have a cat, so we used to call it Chiku. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the fruit, is it?
Yeah, I mean, not exactly the fruit, but yeah. I mean, it was just like a pet name.
Oh yeah, please. I think we have one of our standby volunteers who has a cat himself.
No, I don't have a cat. I have a
Oh, you have a
dog,
dog. Awesome.
which is not my dog. So we
Oh,
we call him Mr. Spock.
Mr. Spock.
Yeah, like because his ears look like like this Spock character. But I think a good name
That's
for a cat would be Simba.
Simba. Hmm. That would be a good
Wait,
name for a pet lion, though.
oh, I wish I had a pet lion, but that would be animal cruelty.
For you or for the lion?
Oh, so yeah, so could you tell us a little bit about your talk, Nitish, before we begin? Creating
Yeah,
data apps.
sure. Yeah. So basically, I came across this cool open source library, Streamlight, last year, and I just wanted to play around with it. And this was like an excuse to do that. So, like, yeah, I just submitted a proposal. Yeah. And yeah, try to build something small. Yeah. And then share my experiences. Yeah, that's this whole talk about. So it's going to be about how you can build
Yeah.
data apps using Python. Yeah.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
awesome. I think we
When
just reached time right now.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was just about
Thank
to
you so
ask.
much, Jacob, for jumping in and saving us. So we're creating data apps with Python. We have Nitish and we have your screen right now. So please get started. All the best. It's the last talk of Pyjamas, so let's finish it off in style. So yeah,
Yeah.
take it away.
So you
Yeah.
guys,
Thanks. See you. Okay. Hi everyone. So I'm Nithish, and in this talk, I'm going to present about how you can build data apps using Python, and without using any of the external dependencies like JavaScript libraries or CSS or HTML. And okay, let's get started. So a little bit about myself. So my background is mostly data engineering. So I like to build prototypes, go to a lot of hackathons, build things over a weekend. And I mostly like to work with Python. I also organize the PyData Munich chapter. I'm based in Munich, so I work in an innovation lab of a e-commerce company there. And I like to travel, and you will also see a bit of it in the presentation. And yeah, you can also find me on most platforms with the Nithish tag. Okay, so that's about myself. So what you might be wondering, what is Streamlit? So Streamlit, this is mostly taken from their website. So it allows you to prepare, turn data scripts into web apps. What does that mean? So you have your normal pandas or Python code, which you can make it, make it interactive by adding a few components from Streamlit. And you don't need any front end experience, and it's also really easy to deploy. For example, this is an example shown on their website where they do some real-time computer vision, uh, which is completely interactive, and you can see the code on their GitHub page. And so if you look at it, so internally what they do is they convert all uh, uh, these components from Streamlit into React components, but you don't need to worry about that because all this is hidden away from you. And it has like compatibility with most major frameworks or libraries like uh, scikit-learn or Keras or PyTorch, and also all these visualization libraries like Altair or Bokeh or Plotly, even Matplotlib and Vega or LaTeX. Uh, so in this talk, I would like to cover like two use cases. Uh, I mean, I'm not an expert on Streamlit, but these are some things which I just tried like to see if I can do something with Streamlit. So wanted to build like an interface for machine learning and also visualize some data. So more about the first uh, problem that I'm trying to solve. So I'm trying to build some interface that helps you to visualize the machine learning outputs easily. So normally what I used to do before Streamlit was I would build my model using Jupyter Notebook and then write a small wrapper API in Flask or Fast API. And then to deploy this or like to make this useful, I would also build a small front end in HTML or JavaScript, HTML using JavaScript and CSS. In some simple things like Bootstrap. I mean, what I experienced was this takes like about a day to get this whole thing done. And at the end, because my UI skills are not the best, I always have problems that it's not the most friendly to use. And when you want to run this in production, you definitely need a designer and a front end engineer who has to spend some time with it. Whereas in the Streamlit workflow, you build a model like you do normally in your Jupyter notebooks or wherever, and then you add the Streamlit components for UI. So like input fields or sliders or things like that. And in the end, you can deploy this as a web app. What do I mean by it? To show you an example, what I did was I just took like the a public ImageNet image classification model, and I built a small interface for it using Streamlit. And okay, let me just show you the demo. Okay, so this is like something which I'm running on my local machine without doing anything on the network. So here you have like a input field where you can select which network to use from the ImageNet, and you can also upload an image that you want to classify. So let me just upload some image. Okay, let's see. Okay, maybe this one. And what this is right now doing is since I change one component, it would run this file and try to give you the output. So this is all coming from, the interface is coming from Streamlit. So it ran this file dog, it uploaded this file, and then with this, with this model, try to get the top 5 predictions and gives you the confidence of it, and also gives you the top prediction. And you can also change it. So if I change the model here, it would change the output. So you can see that now it has changed to 51.83% with Labrador Retriever. And similarly, you can see any other model. And you can see that the script is running in the background whenever any of these inputs change. Yeah, and here you can see that this model is probably the best because the confidence is higher. Yeah. And I can also have a small demo of the code. So what this is doing is it's right now getting the code from GitHub and then just showing it as a markdown file. And most of this is like standard image recognition for ImageNet, which I have adapted from the PyImage search demo. And so here you just need to import Streamlit as ST, and then you can, all these lines that start with ST are the ones which are Streamlit components. So for example, here you have a title, you have a sidebar, header, for example, and this is like the select box, which you use to select these models. And here you have a file uploader, and you can also restrict the sizes and formats supported. And this is like the toggle button for the showing code. And all this internal logic is basically the pre-processing and the model processing. So like you convert the image and do some pre-processing, like converting to the right size, and then you predict it using the model, and you get like a dictionary which you convert into a pandas data frame, and you can just output it as like st.data frame. Yeah. And one another interesting thing which I would like to point out is this Streamlit caching. So what this does is, if you, for example, right now, if you toggle this file won't be fetched again from GitHub. So this function is executed more than once, only if either the input changes or the function changes. So there is an internal memory store where it keeps track of all the inputs and the corresponding output. If they don't change, the file is loaded instantly. And yeah, so it's right now taking a bit of time, but normally it's quite fast. Always the pain with real-time demos. But anyways, you get the point that, yeah, this is one of the main components that you can use to improve your performance of your Streamlit apps. Okay. And if you look at the code, the code is quite similar to what you do for a command line parser, but you get like much fancier input or fancier interface without much of effort. And most of the core components requires just like 3 or 4 lines of Streamlit code. Okay, so coming to my second use case. Normally you typically have like a lot of data that you generate, like reports or some visualizations that you showcase to other people. And there are a lot of different ways to do it. Like you can do it in Jupyter notebooks, do presentations, you can write scripts, you can build your own custom code, or you can also do reporting in software like Tableau or Power BI or Looker or things like that. But what if you could also develop web apps for it? And I'll just tell you like a bit of what I used to do before I switched to Streamlit. So I was using Jupyter notebooks for my visualization. It is great for experimentation, like all the graphs and everything. You can write stories using the data. You can convey some stories. But most of the time, the issue I face is like, how do I share it with someone? They might not have their corresponding interfaces or like the libraries installed, or there is some issue with like the code flow. I mean, there are lots of issues with Jupyter notebooks in terms of sharing with others, especially if you want to run it interactively. And there's also a really cool talk from Joel Cruz from the JupyterCon last week about why he doesn't like notebooks. And it's a really good talk. Okay, so with that in mind, so I wanted to build something which would enable me to visualize my Google Maps data. Like I really like the timeline, what they do. So you store all your data with Google, which I do. And then you can go to your timeline on Google Maps and see where all you have been and all those kind of information. Google also offers you like an interface where you can download these data points for you. And there are also third-party visualizers where you can see like histograms of your location history. So I'm trying to like see if I can somehow recreate it or with Streamline. That was uh, my whole hypothesis. And what I observed was there are some issues with the data that Google provides you. Like it's not in the standards that you expect, but you can easily convert them to the right standards. But one major issue which I faced was that there is no information about the places or apart from the GPS coordinates. And it's pretty hard to get this data for like a huge data set like that I had. And to compensate for this, I tried to add some background information. So Flickr, the open image sharing platform, has like an open API which allows you to get images based on GPS coordinates. So that's what I'm trying to use here so that I can add some images. So maybe I remember the place better. And also the standard things like histograms or heat maps. And so this is how it like kind of looks like. So you have like the visualization, which is provided by Streamlit, and you also have like heat maps and some images and histograms. Uh, Let me just show you the app. Okay, so let me just refresh the app. But this is also running completely on my local machine. And so here you can see that I'm getting data from 2013 to 2020, and it's around 800K data points. And Streamlit is loading this data in a map. And for this, I didn't have to do anything. I just loaded the data frame and showed. And if the data frame has a latitude and longitude data, you can also, it automatically has this option to visualize it. And you can also zoom in, zoom out, do all kinds of things. And it's quite responsive, I would say. And to make this interactive, you can go filter the data based on time frames. So like you can see what happened in 2018 and 2020, and the map is automatically centered based on the data. So internally, Streamlit uses PyDeck for this graph, and you can also get the tiles from Mapbox, which I use here. Um, yeah, and so you can also filter based on any kinds of, yeah, so you can see that 2019, 2020, it's a much smaller radius than before. And you can also see like histograms of when these data points were collected. So for example, 2019, so this is only 2 months of 2019, so it's probably lesser data. And so if you increase it, you can see how many data points were collected per year. It takes a bit of time because of the data set. Yeah, so you can see that I was probably visiting more places in 2016 than other years. And you can also see similar information by months. I mean, so you can see that probably summer is the time when I travel more. And you can also see like what hours I was more active. So like you can see that I'm not too much of a late evening, late night person. And yeah, so that was histograms. And you can also do similarly heat maps. So heat maps takes a bit of time. Yeah. But you get the feedback that it's still running. And whenever you change any of these elements, the whole data stream performance. Okay, it's still running. Okay, maybe I'll just stop it and run it again, or change the data points to much, yeah, smaller. So now, yeah, maybe just refresh the app. Yeah, always the problems with the live demo that, yeah, you might face some issues which you don't see before. So let's get to a smaller data set. Okay, so this is only 100K data points. And now you should see the heat map. Okay, or yeah, I can also just show the images. So here, okay, let's see if it loads in a minute. Okay, yeah, the heat map. Heat map is like loaded and you can basically go around it. And this heat map is actually produced using Folium, which Streamlit doesn't support out of the box, but there are like community plugins which you can uh, use to integrate a Folium with Streamlit. And yeah, you also get some random images based on uh, the locations, and you can also increase it or decrease it based on how you like. And these images, I haven't put in a lot of logic, so I'm just getting some random image from this filtered data set and just showing it. Okay, okay, let me also just show you the code that is used to create all this. So this is a bit more involved than the last one, but still it's not a lot of data, not a lot of uh, code. Maybe I should disable the heat map because it's the most intensive operation. Yeah, so here you can see, yeah, it's similar to the last one, all the imports. And yeah, you can set the page config, which sets all these titles and how you want this page to be loaded. And yeah, I'm doing some basic cleaning, like renaming the columns so that you have much better, so that Streamlit can detect it out of the box. And yeah, this is the whole API logic where I get some random image based on the GPS coordinates that I get from the data. Yeah, and yeah, so here is the whole slider logic. So you need to have the minimum and maximum for the timestamps. And yeah, you have this whole, so this is the whole mapping information. So if you just do streamlit.map and provide it a data frame with latitude and longitude, it works out of the box. And yeah, the histograms, they are matplotlib uh, plots. And what else? Yeah, this is the Folium heat map that I mentioned. And yeah, this is like coming from the community component. And yeah, the images, to load images, you just provided it a list of URLs and it can do it. Okay, since I'm running a bit late on time, I'll just go back to the presentation. So you might be wondering, are there alternatives? Yes, there are alternatives. So there are options like Vola, which focuses more on the Jupyter Notebook side, how to do interactive stuff on Jupyter Notebooks, the classics like Bokeh or Plotly or Panel. And I would say if you are comfortable with one of these existing systems, there is not a lot to move out of, except maybe the deployment. So yeah, but it's a matter of personal taste. So most of them offer kind of similar features. Uh, to conclude, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages with Streamlit? So Streamlit offers like the super interactive and customizable code. So you can write whatever visualization that you want and make it interactive. And the deployment is quite easy. Like you can just run this file on a server and open the port, or you can also package it in Docker and run it. And it also has a really active community. The forum is quite active, and also people are responding to questions. Uh, coming to some of the drawbacks. So they have launched a beta version of Streamlit sharing, which allows you to share your Streamlit components or Streamlit dashboards with the world. I tried to load this machine learning model on it, but I face some issues. I believe it's basically due to the deep learning frameworks that I use. Another issue is the authentication. So there is no built-in authentication in Streamlit. So they plan to introduce this in the paid version, but there are workarounds for it. Like you can use your CDN for it, or you can also do a reverse proxy, or you can also put like a password field based on which you authenticate and load the rest of the dashboard. And I've also added like the GitHub repos for these visualization, and there are also some Streamlit, more examples in their Streamlit gallery. And yeah, if you have some questions, you can always reach out to me. Yeah, with that, I'm done. And if you have some questions, I'll try to answer them.
Hey, awesome. Thank you so much for the talk. It was really, really amazing. We always try to explore, creating interactive dashboards for people who are not rather comfortable with code, and all these uh, 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 amazing tools like the ones you mentioned, Dash, Voila, Streamlit. They make it really easy for us to share our code and stuff. So it was really awesome.
Yeah.
And so in the amount of time it takes, right, to set things up, like which do you think is easier to just quickly set up and just share with people? Is it like Voila, Dash, or Streamlit? Something else?
To be honest, I haven't used the other tools too much. So I've just tried Voila. I felt like Streamlit was much faster. So for example, this machine learning thing, it took me just 1 or 2 hours to find the right components and then just put things together. And then it was running from like the very first hour. So I didn't have to do much.
Okay. Awesome. I'm just checking if you have any questions that we have, but actually I have a lot of questions, so I'll just continue.
Yeah.
Also, I had another question, like on the similar lines. Far from effort, what about the learning curve? If you want to start building these dashboards or these stuff, right? Like, which do you think is just easier to just quickly start building, rather the effort on the learning curve side, which is easier to learn and just quickly do stuff?
I personally found Streamlit to be the easiest to get started with, because I'm not someone with a lot of experience in UI or visualization. So I found Streamlit really fast. Like their examples are quite comprehensive. Their documentation is really good. So you can find really good examples that can help you get started really fast.
Awesome. You don't seem to compromise Streamlit, and I like that very much. You're sticking to your talk, you're sticking to your framework, and that's awesome. I will be sure to check out Streamlit, and I'm sure people will do too. And you can actually check out the YouTube chat or on Discord if people might have any questions, and you can, hang down. I think you are our last talk of the conference, so congratulations. You win nothing.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much for giving the talk.
Thanks.
And also, thank you.